Judas Iscariot, a name that's practically become the definition of betrayal. But here's the question nobody's asking. Why? This guy wasn't just a bystander. He was chosen, handpicked by Jesus to be one of the 12. He saw the miracles, heard the teachings, and lived it all firsthand. And then, boom, 30 pieces of silver. Was it greed? Some twisted sense of duty? Or is there a deeper truth here, buried under centuries of speculation? Get ready, because what you think you know about Judas might just be scratching the surface. Judas Iscariot, just saying the name, and you think betrayal. It's like it's written in the stars that when you betray someone, you're going to end up being called a Judas. But let's stop for a second and ask the question no one seems to be asking. Why? Why did this guy do it? He wasn't some random dude who just showed up out of nowhere. No, he was handpicked, chosen by Jesus himself. I mean, think about it. You're one of the 12, the inner circle. You've seen the miracles. You've heard the teachings. You've walked alongside the guy who's saying he's the Son of God. You're living this incredible moment in history. And then boom, 30 pieces of silver. Just like that, you betray all of it. Now, sure, some people say it was for the money. Greed, right? But it's not that simple. Was there something else going on here? Maybe a twisted sense of duty? Or was Judas just a pawn in a much larger game, one that we've completely misunderstood for centuries? You're going to want to stick around, because what do you think you know about Judas? Yeah, it's probably not even close to the full picture. All right, let's set the scene. First century Jerusalem was a total powder keg. You had the Romans in charge, militarized, brutal, and all about control. Then you've got the Jews living under Roman rule, desperate for a way out. They've been waiting for the Messiah, the one who's supposed to rise, throw the Romans off, and bring liberation. This isn't just about religion. This is about freedom, identity, and survival. But here's the thing. What if Judas saw Jesus and thought, this guy isn't doing it? Think about it. Jesus was all about peace, love, and healing. He wasn't leading an army. He wasn't planning a revolution. For many people at the time, that wasn't the Messiah they were expecting. They wanted a fighter, a king, someone who would lead them out of oppression. Instead, Jesus was talking about turning the other cheek and loving your enemies. Judas had to be seeing this, right? Was he frustrated? Maybe, just maybe, Judas was like, this isn't it. This isn't what I signed up for. And then you start to wonder, did he think betraying Jesus would force his hand? Push him into action? We'll never really know, but it's a possibility. Judas wasn't the only one confused. A lot of people were. But for him, it might have been the breaking point. All right, let's dig into something crazy, something a lot of people don't know about. The Gospels, the ones we've all read, the ones we've all grown up with, they give us one story, a straightforward story. Judas betrays Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Classic betrayal, right? But here's the thing. There's another story, and this one's not found in the Bible we know. It's in the Gospel of Judas. Now, hold on. This is wild stuff. In the Gospel of Judas, he's not some villain, some money-hungry traitor. No, he's described as the favored disciple, the one who's closest to Jesus, the one who's given the secret knowledge, the insider info. This gospel flips everything we think we know upside down. In this version, Judas isn't the bad guy. He's the one fulfilling a divine plan. Wait a minute. What if Judas wasn't just acting out of selfish greed? What if he thought he was playing his part in something much bigger? Maybe he believed that by handing Jesus over, he was helping to fulfill prophecy, not destroy it. Think about it. If Judas believed Jesus had to die to bring about salvation, maybe he saw himself as a guy who had to make it happen. But let's talk about psychology for a second. Greed? Sure, it's possible. But there's another angle. What if Judas didn't betray Jesus because he was just some money-hungry dude? What if it was deeper than that? What if it was fear? Fear of losing his place in this movement. Fear of Jesus' mission failing, or fear that he had misunderstood everything. And then there's the idea of despair. The guy's been living with this tension, believing in this Messiah, and maybe in the back of his head, he's thinking, this isn't what I signed up for. The teachings of peace, love, and turning the other cheek. How does that align with the revolution he thought he was part of? Now, let's talk about misunderstanding. Could it be that Judas didn't get Jesus' mission at all? Maybe he thought that Jesus was holding back. Maybe he thought that Jesus wasn't stepping up in the way he should have. What if Judas thought he could force Jesus into action, make him reveal his power, and make him take control? But what if Jesus had already planned it all out? Was Judas simply a pawn in a much larger cosmic game that he couldn't even comprehend? Judas' betrayal. Was it an act of loyalty or a massive misunderstanding? Was it driven by something as human as fear, greed, or guilt? Or did Judas truly believe he was playing the part that God needed him to play? What if the story of Judas isn't just about betrayal? It's about a man trapped in a bigger plan, a bigger purpose, one that's been hidden for centuries. All right, the stage is set. The silver coins are handed over. The deal is struck. But here's the question. Was Judas even fully aware of what he was about to do? We're talking about the moment when everything changed. The kiss in the garden, the betrayal. The moment Jesus is arrested. Was this an act of pure treachery? Or was it a tragic misjudgment? Let's rewind for a second. Back to the Last Supper. Jesus knows what's coming. He knows Judas is about to do the unthinkable. And what does he say? What you are about to do quickly. He doesn't try to stop him. He doesn't fight it. It's almost like he's permitting Judas to go ahead, to play his part in the plan. Now, think about that. What does that tell us? Is Jesus resigned to his fate, or is there something else going on here? Is he calmly accepting Judas' actions as part of the larger mission, or is he acknowledging that Judas has already made his choice? Now, let's look at Judas in that moment. He's walking up to Jesus in the garden, and we know what's coming. That kiss, the signal to the soldiers, the act that would seal Jesus' fate. But here's where things get tricky. What's going through Judas' mind right then? Is he full of remorse, realizing the weight of what he's about to do? Or is this all part of a bigger calculation? Did he believe he had no choice? Was he just doing what he thought had to be done? Did he think he was forcing Jesus' hand, pushing him into action, thinking that the Messiah would finally rise and lead a revolution? Or was he aware deep down that he was betraying his friend, the one he'd followed for years? Judas knew what he was doing, but did he truly understand the consequences? Was it an act of cold calculation, or did he genuinely think he was helping fulfill some divine mission? And when it all went down, when Jesus was arrested and taken away, did Judas feel the full weight of his actions, or was it too late to turn back? Judas' story, it didn't end well. It ended in total despair. After everything, the betrayal, the silver coins, he couldn't live with himself. The weight of what he'd done crushed him. He goes back to the temple and throws the money at the feet of the priests, but it's too late. They don't care. And then Judas vanishes into the night, ending up in a desolate field, hanging himself from a tree. Here's the thing though, was Judas beyond redemption? I mean, if you take a step back, his role, no matter how ugly it was essential in fulfilling the entire divine plan. The betrayal had to happen. The crucifixion had to happen for Jesus to die, for that whole resurrection thing to go down. But did Judas know that? Was he a pawn in a cosmic game, playing out his part without even realizing it? Did he do what had to be done, but at the cost of his soul? Now, let's talk about the big question. How do we view Judas? Is he the ultimate villain, the greatest traitor in history? Or was he a misunderstood guy caught up in a situation he couldn't control? Maybe he was trying to force Jesus' hand, trying to bring about the revolution he thought was coming, and he got it wrong. Either way, it's tragic. The guy who walked with Jesus, heard the teachings, was right there, ends up a broken man. And that's the question we're left with. Was Judas the villain, or was he just a man who did what he thought had to be done, only to find out it was too late to turn back? For centuries, Judas has been cast as the scapegoat of history, the ultimate villain, the one who sold out Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. But here's the question. What if it wasn't just a moment of weakness? What if his betrayal was something bigger? Something we're not seeing? Judas Iscariot, was he a villain, a victim, or something in between? Maybe we've been looking at him all wrong. Maybe his actions weren't just about betrayal. Maybe they were part of a much larger plan. A plan so vast, so intricate, that we can't even begin to comprehend it. So, the question remains, what do you think? Was Judas just a traitor, or was he a man trapped in a story much bigger than himself? If you found this journey into the untold story of Judas Iscariot as fascinating as we did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Tap the bell icon so you never miss a deep dive into the mysteries and stories you won't find anywhere else. Join the conversation, and let's keep exploring the truth together.